Good morning. We're about to do this. Okay, so let me see if I go live and I go here. I go like this. See if we can hear myself. Live. Yes. Go here. Yes. Okay, cool. We're good. Okay. Good morning. I got my coffee. I got a freaking Coca-Cola Zen. And I got a sick video. Okay. So, hello, my name is Danny Swade. I'm an intensely curious person. And the other day I was looking out that window. I'm looking down and I'm thinking, wow, it's so crazy how like right a few inches outside of the window, straight down, like a person could be on the ground, right? And it's like in a vertical plane, they're right next to me. And then I was thinking like, oh, it's crazy how there's a small footprint of this building and it holds so much volume, right? And there's so much in it, but it's only this small part on the earth. Anyways, then I wondered, okay, what's the biggest building in the world? Or biggest man-made thing ever, you know? And then I went down this crazy rabbit hole for like probably an hour and a half. And I want to take you on it with me. And because I didn't do a lot of research, I still have a bunch of questions about what I was learning. So it gets crazy, but basically the plan is I'll tell you what I learned so far. And then I want to go explore. I'm on live right now and I want to go explore everything else. So basically, let's start here with the, I want to start with the biggest building in the world because it wasn't necessarily what I expected, what I learned. And then that led me down this whole other crazy trail. So it's really interesting. So here, let me switch here. Okay, so biggest man-made structures ever, right? You got Great Wall of China, right, which is the longest thing ever. Which most of us probably could guess that. But then you have the walls of Benin, a disputed challenger. And I'm like, I've never even heard of that. And I'm like, what is that? So it's apparently the second largest man-made thing ever in history, right? And just said man-made earthwork or something like that. And I've also, when I was doing a little research, I heard that this is actually technically bigger than the Great Wall of China. So maybe the biggest man-made earthwork ever in existence, right? In the Guinness Book of World Records, right? So that was crazy. So a lot of this is going to be about this walls of Benin because I'd never heard of that. And it gets crazy once I started learning about it. Okay. So that's crazy. So you got vertical champion, Burj Khalifa, tallest building ever. We know that. Volume and floor area, right? So this is the Boeing Everett factory in Washington. And you have, oh wait. This isn't the right thing. Oh, wait, here we go. So I wanted to know the difference between floor area. Wait, is this the wrong thing? Okay, sorry. Switching it. Okay. Or no. This is tripping me out because this literally isn't what I saw yesterday. Oh, no, it is. I'm retarded. Sorry. Anyways, I just had to read. Okay. The Boeing Everett factory is the largest building by volume. Okay. And then you have, which I want to look at. And then in terms of floor area, you have the New Century Global Center in Chengdu, China. And then you have footprint is this auto place assembly in Russia. So I was like, what's the difference between what's the difference between footprint? Why can't I say that? What's the difference between footprint and total floor area, right? And turns out floor area is like, you can, maybe the footprint isn't that big, but it has tons of floors, right? So it's like walkable space basically would be floor area. And then footprint is just how big of a spot on the earth. And then volume I think the Everett factory is big because it probably doesn't have a ton of floor area because it's open because there's planes and stuff in there. So that's why they're different. But let's go ahead and just freaking take a look at the Everett factory real quick. So this is the biggest building on the planet by volume, which honestly doesn't look that impressive. It's pretty big, but considering, I guess there's a little trucks down there. So that's pretty big. If those are cars, pretty big. But I'm not that impressed with that. But then, okay, so if we go back here, let's look at this though. I just barely Googled this yesterday, but I wanted to wait for the video. So let's go to New Century Global Center, bro. This is crazy. Okay. Let's take a look at this freaking thing. Should we watch a video? Look at this, dude. This is sick. When I'm talking about biggest things in the world, this makes me proud of humans, dude. This is insane. Look at this. This is low quality videos here. I guess I'm streaming, that's why. Wow, dude. Good job, humans. That's freaking cool. Look at this place. So let's go. Let's open a new Perplexity tab here and let's off the rip. This is why I love Perplexity because I wonder things and then I just go down these rabbit holes. So let's say, what is in the new Century City building in Chengdu, China? I can't spell. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay. Let's see, because I read that it was, the shit that was in it is insane. So there's an IMAX cinema, Olympic-sized skating rink, Paradise Island water park, artificial beach, pirate ship, and Mediterranean village. Stage for concerts. Ooh, residential mixed use with 2,000 residential units. Clubhouse, swimming pool, basketball, tennis. Wow. It's a residential development with commercial facilities too. That is freaking cool, dude. Look at that shit. Imagine that's where you live. Look at the skyline right here. Look at this. Okay. Look at the skyline. Look at, these are all skyscrapers. And then look at the size of this fucking thing. See, more of that, please. Humans, more of that. That is so cool. Okay, I love it. And the crazy thing is, like, I never knew about that. I don't know how many people knew about that, but like, this is the biggest building by floor volume on the entire planet, and I've never even heard of it in my life. And maybe I'm just like living under a rock, but this is crazy. Okay, so now let's look at this other big Russian thing. I have a feeling this is gonna look like the Boeing one. So let's see. Wow. Okay, that's pretty big. Look at this. This is fire. Except the Russian cookies. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty insane, dude. Russians got them on the footprint. Biggest footprint right there. I think there's a giga factory or something that's going to be the biggest after this, but I hope my audio's okay. I was having a struggle today. Okay, so that's that. Okay, and then you got Great Pyramids are giant, blah, blah, blah. You know, the Great Pyramids were the biggest thing man ever built or tallest thing that man ever built until, what's the thing in France? The Eiffel Tower. Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to go down the rabbit hole I went down now because this walls of Benin, I was like, okay, what the hell is this, right? And I started learning about it. So it's like this circular city, and I don't really know that much about the actual walls and the construction because when I was asking Perplexity about it, it was talking about how it was built by Oba Iware the Great, who was the king at the time. Apparently it was kind of built before him, but this story is crazy, right? So this is southern, what's present day Nigeria in Africa. And it's around the end of the 13th century, I think. So you were just getting the printing press around this time, I guess, and I learned that it was like glasses, spectacles were starting to become a thing. You just had the printing press. There's a couple of other things happening in the world, but that's cannot get my hair to not be crazy. Sorry. That's the time period, right? So it's printing press time period. And so they were kind of already building this city and these walls and stuff, but the real one responsible for expanding everything and who was very successful was Awari the Great. And it mentioned that he killed his brother and usurped the throne. So I was like, okay, I'm on Perplexity and I'm like, what's up with that, right? So tell me about, here, I'll switch back here. So I'm so curious. So I said, tell me about the city and the ruler and the time period and blah, blah, blah. So it was Awari, and yeah, he killed his brother. Violent coup. So I say, tell me about him killing his brother, blah, 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 all this. Okay, so I'll just tell you the story I learned. So I went down this big rabbit hole. I learned all about this history, and I don't know if it's just that I'm like a white dude from America who didn't graduate high school and never learned about this shit, but I was so surprised. I was like, this is an amazing story and time period in history and thing that happened, and one of the biggest man-made things ever made, and I've never heard about any of it ever. So I was like, this is so interesting. So, okay, first thing you got to know, Oba is the king, right? So it's a name, like there's different kings, but Oba means king. So you had a king. It says, okay, you have this king named Oba Ohen. And at this time, they believed that kings were kind of divine, right? It's kind of like how the pharaohs were and stuff like that. So this king gets sick. And okay, the other thing I learned is that like a lot of this history, I would ask ChatGPT and I would ask Perplexity about it. Right? So as I go down this, it's talking about Oba Iware and how he had this magic staff and all this, and he like set fire to the city. And I was like, he had a magic staff, really? Like, what the hell? So the history is steeped in like this oral tradition, and there's like myth intertwined in it and stuff like that. So keep that with a grain of salt. But these people believed the king is divine, whatever. So apparently this king would sneak off and meet this chick under the bridge, and then they would do adult activities. And someone put poison under there, which caused him to be paralyzed, right? So he starts getting paralyzed, and that's not good because people believe if you're paralyzed, you lose your divine status, right? So he's trying to hide it. And right, so he's having people carry him in his chair around and whatever, trying to hide that he's getting paralyzed. Well, one of the advisors or one person on the court or the council or whatever notices. And he tells everyone. Well, then the king orders him to be executed. So they execute him, and then everyone's really pissed at the king now because that was a good advisor. And they're like, what the fuck? And they find out he's paralyzed. So what they do is they dig a hole under his throne and put a cloth over it and then get him to sit in it. He sits in it, he falls in the hole, and then they stone him to death with chalk, which is like symbolically has some symbolism about chalk. Anyway, so he dead. He has a bunch of kids though. There's kind of a power struggle, and I struggled to learn the actual details of this, but apparently there's 4 sons. The 2 youngest sons get exiled because of the power struggle. So you can imagine at these times when there's a king and there's like, who's going to be king and take the throne and like da-da-da, and they don't want to get challenged, and there's all this politics. Well, for one reason or another, the 2 sons, the youngest ones, end up getting exiled, and that's Iware and I think Uwafikun, yeah, those guys. So they're bailed out. Now, the oldest son becomes king for a while, dies. The next son becomes king for a while, dies. None of them are particularly good kings. Okay. Around the time of the second king, Uwafikun comes back, and he says that he hasn't seen his brother, blah, 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 and he gains favor within the council and everything, and he ends up becoming king. So you got King Uwafikun, who's the oldest of the 2 youngest brothers who dipped. Well, apparently this whole time, Iware, who's the youngest, is out in the world learning military strategy and with Eastern wisdom or like different magic and stuff like that, right? Is what this is saying. And just learning all about the world and gaining a bunch of knowledge and wisdom and stuff like that. So they say he got a magic talisman, which give him power and strength, and he had a magic bag, which he had special magical items that would help him rule and govern and figure shit out. So interestingly enough, I was like, okay, what's up with this magic staff in this bag? And they're like, well, it's mythical, blah, blah, blah. But the interesting thing about the bag is all throughout the ancient world, you'll see people with this little bag. And it's like on Göbekli Tepe. So look at this. So Göbekli Tepe bag man. Here you go. Hold on a sec. Okay. What are those handbags at Göbekli Tepe? So you got these bags, right? These bags are in Egypt. They're in ancient Turkey. They're all over the world. I'm pretty sure they are in Easter Island, on the Easter Island heads. Okay, so these bags are a thing. Magic bags. It's like a thing. I don't know exactly what about it, but I don't think it's a coincidence that Iware had a magic bag as well. Anyways, he gets a bunch of followers. He pulls up to the city, and there's a parade for Iwafakun, and he uses his magic talisman, sets fire to the city, and snipes Iwafakun with a poison arrow, which is apparently contested. It says, some history says he put him to the sword, whatever. He kills his ass and becomes the king. So that's the story of that, and that's crazy. He becomes the king, he becomes a great king, and he has a lot of military conquests. He's very successful, and he's largely responsible for the construction of the walls of Benin, which are one of the biggest things that humans have ever made in the history of forever, which is crazy. So I basically don't know anything about these walls, what they were like, what's going on, or anything about them. And so I wanted to continue my journey of learning about all this shit on this video, on the live. So let's freaking dive in. Okay. I'm going to go straight to YouTube, and I'm just going to type in the walls of Benin, and let's see what we get. And let's watch, see what we get here. 5 years ago, 1 year. Ancient empire and its great walls, an ancient African wonder. Edo people. Oh, look at, here I am. Let's go. I want this one's got 1 million. Let's watch this short.
It's called the Wall of Benin, like one of the world's largest structures. But I've never known about it. And it was in Nigeria. It was the capital city, but they made interconnecting walls that stretched over 10,000 miles. And it was all man-made. And it was like the world's largest structure. But the British destroyed it in 1897 when they were colonizing it. But that's enough wall to circle the United States 3 times.
It says 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
How have I never heard of that?
That's what I'm saying. Even the people of Nigeria now, they don't even know about it. So people are trying to discover more about it to teach them of their ancient culture and stuff.
They started in 800 AD and continued until 1460 AD.
Yeah, they said it took 150 million man-hours to build.
Very little remains today. How is that possible?
Because the British destroyed it.
All of it.
Imperialism.
Yeah. Is that not insane?
That's crazy.
Yeah, never heard of it before.
Wow, that dude went on the same journey as me. Why does no one know about this? Kingdom of Benin, full history, 8 minutes. Let's do it. Come along with me. Okay, how's the volume for you there? Give me a little volume. Sorry about that. This intro is insanely long. Oh, is this
on the coast of present-day Nigeria, formed in the 11th century, there was a vast and powerful kingdom known as the Kingdom of Benin, ruled by divine kings known as Obas. Its position on the coast and by the Niger River brought bountiful wealth. Those who controlled the waterways controlled the tolls. With a formidable military, the kingdom conquered nearby territories, receiving further tributes. Word soon spread of this powerful and prosperous kingdom to other lands. Craftsmen, artisans, cloth makers, bronze sculptors, and carpenters all flocked to the kingdom to make their mark. From this came the growth of a strong artistic culture within the kingdom, with guilds producing works directly for the Oba himself. There was an array of beautiful sculptures crafted from brass, ivory, and iron. The sculptures acted as records of life within the kingdom, displaying its laws, lifestyle, and ceremonies. Visitors were astounded by the kingdom, as beautiful as it was imposing, with its impressive walls and thoroughfares. As word of it reached faraway lands, new types of visitors were attracted from across the ocean. Indeed, Europeans maintained a sound relationship with the kingdom, primarily through trade, compounding the kingdom's wealth as they traded ivory and palm oil in exchange for guns and brass manila. The Europeans received profitable trade, and Benin received technology that helped expand their empire. However, it was not to be a peaceful relationship forever. In the late 1800s, the British became more forceful in their efforts to secure dominance and began to subdue previously free peoples in the areas surrounding the Benin Kingdom. Oba of Omamon Ngombasi began to grow concerned as he saw his neighbors, King Jaja of Opobo and Chief Nana of Istekeri, swept up by European rule and he feared for his kingdom's independence. He began restricting trade possibilities, hindering in particular the free passage of palm kernels. The British were not happy with this. They wanted profits. They wished to control the Benin Kingdom, but couldn't attack without reason. They decided to do what they had done to others: coerce the ruler into a one-sided treaty that would give them ultimate control of the land. A determined minor diplomat named Henry Danwe set out in 1892 with plans to not only obtain a signed treaty, but to annex the kingdom as a British overseas territory. Danwe approached the Oba with a treaty that would mean the virtual end of his independence, although it is unlikely that he fully understood what he was being offered due to the language barrier. Naturally wary of the British, he was reluctant to sign the treaty, but allowed others to sign for him. His intention was simply to placate the British and make them leave him alone. To the British, however, it was legally binding. Free trade was theirs. The Oba continued centuries-old traditions such as receiving tributes from traders. This was similar to custom duties, and the British saw this as a violation of their treaty. They sent several warnings to the Oba to stop or face the threat of arms. Eventually, in 1896, Acting Consul General James Phillips decided to take matters into his own hands. Claiming that the ivory in the Oba's palace would surely make up for the cost of such an expedition, Phillips put in a request to his superiors, arguing the benefits of invasion, and didn't wait for an answer. Instead, he arranged an expedition and took off. Phillips' expedition coincided with the Agwe festival within the Benin Kingdom, a season in which the Oba could not be in the presence of non-natives, and so their meeting was turned down. He advised Phillips to return in a month's time. Phillips refused and continued towards his destination. The Oba sent a second delegation, once again informing Phillips that he would not be received, but Phillips ignored the warning. The exact events that led to what happened next are disputed. Benin sources have maintained that a provocation took place that resulted in a conflict, whereas the British claimed that Phillips' party was attacked for no reason. Regardless of the details, the end result was the same. On the 4th of January 1897, Phillips' party of over 250 men were killed in a clash with Benin soldiers. The two survivors that escaped returned to Britain to describe it as a massacre. Now, the British had their excuse to bring Benin Kingdom completely under their control. Outraged by the killings, they tasked Rear Admiral Harry Wilson to launch a retaliation against the Benin Kingdom on February 10. This was to be known as the Benin Punitive Expedition, with the main objectives of destroying Benin City, capturing the Yoruba, and appropriating the wealth of the kingdom. The British arrived to invade with about 2,500 heavily armed men. The Benin soldiers themselves were armed with flintlock muskets, pistols, machetes, spears, and bows and arrows, standing tall to defend their kingdom one last time. Then battle commenced. It was vicious and bloody, but ultimately one-sided due to the superior weaponry of the British. During the battle, bombings and rockets contributed heavily to the massacre of countless civilians and their settlements, and the city was set ablaze. By the 19th, Benin City was captured. The British suffered a total of 8 losses. The casualties to the Benin Kingdom were never recorded, but are considered to be catastrophic. One account reported hundreds of dead bodies, some of which were simply cut in two by Maxim fire. After capture, parts of the city were burnt and the British claimed royal treasures as loot, and as early as March 5th, Consul General Ralph Moore reported the first sale of ivory. All of the beautiful art and sculptures that the kingdom had accumulated were stolen from their people and divided up between the invaders. During the assault, the Oba fled the city, prompting search parties to hunt for him and burn down any village suspected of harboring him. Throughout this hunt, his people refused to betray him and continuously protected him. However, he surrendered after 6 months and was exiled to Calabar after trial, where he died in 1914. Meanwhile, 6 of his chiefs were publicly executed. Oba of Omamwen's son, Eweka II, became the first Oba under colonial rule in 1914. The kingdom was occupied and amalgamated into the protectorate of southern Nigeria. Nigeria's independence was won in 1960, and the Benin Kingdom remains a part of it to this day.
Holy shit. Man, I think a lot of things, but there is so much history, dude. Like, it's crazy all that shit happened. It's sad that we roasted it so bad. I don't know why I say we, but sad that it was roasted so bad. Freaking bummer, dog. Okay, anyways, that's interesting about the history, but I want to know about man, these are all shorts. Okay, here we go. Let's do this.
Welcome back, history enthusiasts. Today we're diving into the extraordinary world of the great Benin Empire, focusing on its capital, Benin City, whose architectural and urban planning achievements were centuries ahead of their time. Let's explore how this city compared to modern marvels like the Great Wall of China and what made it so unique. Benin City was encircled by an elaborate network of defensive walls that extended for about 10,000 miles. This colossal structure was highlighted in the 1974 Guinness Book of Records, recognized as the largest earthworks built before the advent of mechanical engineering. The scale of these fortifications was not just for defense, but a statement of the sophistication and might of the Benin Empire.
That's an
The
AI,
layout of
baby.
Benin City
Oh,
was a
you can see
masterpiece
this.
of urban planning. The city was designed with a horizontal vertical grid system that featured broad streets, aligning more with modern city planning than with its contemporaries. The city was not only well fortified, but also well organized, with paved roads and an advanced sewage system that highlights a highly developed civic infrastructure. At the heart of Benin City was the Royal Palace, a sprawling complex that was the center.
Alright, so really quickly before I get into the video, I have to make this clear. These are not images of the Benin earthworks. This is an image of a Fulani village, this is an image of Simbozerero, this is concept art of Baghdad in the 9th century, I think, and this is an image of a Thai moat. Walls have historically been the most straightforward and yet generally effective way to keep out who you want kept out and in who you want in.
This is quiet audio.
As a result, such defensive fortifications were used across the world, West Africa included. And out of all the walls in West Africa, no, probably the world, those of Benin are among the greatest. In this video, I'm going to outline the Benin walls, their history, and the debate surrounding them. Throughout our history, the wall has been a standard feature for West African cities of multiple different cultures. Of these, the walls of Benin are probably the most famous, yet these structures aren't actually walls. The quote walls of Benin are better described not as walls, but as a network of ramparts, ditches, or earthworks, locally called iya. Archaeological work in the 70s and 80s shows the total length of these iya exceeded 16,000 kilometers, or 10,000 miles, all within a region of 6,500 square kilometers, or
Okay, 10,000 miles. Let's freaking see how long is the Great Wall of China. How many miles is the Great Wall of China? That's not how you spell China. $13,000 miles long. So then I'm going to say, why do people say that the walls of Benin are longer or a bigger earthwork than the Great Wall of China? Okay. So this says the walls of Benin are estimated approximately 16,000 kilometers, which is significantly longer than the Great Wall of China, which is 13,000 miles. Approximately 21,000 kilometers. 16,000 is less than 21,000. What are you talking about? It was mismeasured for a while. The Great Wall of China was mismeasured for a while. That's why people thought the walls of Benin were longer. Okay. Okay, so I guess people underestimated the Great Wall of China's length, and that's why people thought that the walls of Benin were longer. But how is 16,000 kilometers longer than 21,000 kilometers? And then I'm going to put in quotes what it said. Because that doesn't make any sense, dog. Oh, prior to 2012, the Great Wall's length was often underestimated, which is... Okay, so the walls of Benin were not that big, and they're apparently roasted, and I wonder if, like... Let's see if I can find... I don't know why, it's hard to find an actual good video of the walls of Benin. Let's try this again. Let's try this one.
Did you know that the largest man-made structure in history was the Great Walls of Benin in present-day Nigeria? They were 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
See, that's wrong. That's crazy. That's what they say, that it's 4 times longer. This person read an article and went for it.
And contained 100 times more material than the Cheops Pyramid. It is said to have been built between the 13th and mid-15th century CE. These walls extended for 16,000 kilometers in all, in a mosaic of more than 500 interconnected settlement boundaries. They covered 6,500 square kilometers and were all dug by the Edo people. They took an estimated 150 million hours of digging to construct, and are perhaps the largest single archaeological phenomenon on the planet. The walls of
Dang, so all these pictures are wrong too, man. The internet's so misleading. Like, I feel like you really have to freaking do a dive into this to learn about really what it was like. Does this have anything good? Yeah, and I don't know. Interesting. The Walls of Benin, how an imaginary history of ancient African civilizations has been created. Let's see what we got here.
Hello again.
Hey.
For various reasons that I won't go into at the moment, there have in recent years been concerted efforts to construct a series of myths about African history. One of these is that there were mighty civilizations there before the coming of white Europeans. There is, of course, not a word of truth in it, but it suits many people to play along with this fantasy history and pretend that African cities rivaled those of Europe at the time. One example often mentioned is the so-called Walls of Benin, although they were really nothing of the kind. It is claimed that these walls were longer than the Great Wall of China, and yet have been ignored by Western archaeologists, probably for racist reasons. This is a marvellous piece of deception, because mentioning the Great Wall of China in this way at once summoned up in our minds images of a towering stone-built wall. Fancy such a thing being constructed in Africa before the arrival of Europeans. The only problem is, of course, that these great walls never existed. They are entirely a product of the imagination.
What?
There were no walls of Benin. You will find many internet articles about them. You will find fabulous reconstructions of them, but they're a made-up story.
No.
The thumbnail to this video shows this imaginary city, as it might have been in Africa during the medieval period.
What?
It looks as though it could have rivaled Greece or some other city of classical antiquity, doesn't it? Just look at those stout walls and imagine that in Benin these walls ran for an incredible 10,000 miles, which is what is claimed all over the internet. 10,000 miles of walls. Benin was a tribal kingdom situated in what is now Nigeria. It was a centre for slave trading, and this practice continued after the British abolished slavery and tried to suppress slave trading in Africa. Benin was, of course, also famous for human sacrifice, which was conducted publicly in the city at the heart of the territory. Viewers may have heard of the Benin bronzes, which are native artwork which some museums are now sending to Nigeria. There were no Benin walls. All the pictures mocked up to show a walled city are fantasies. What there was in Benin were ditches and mud embankments. In Epping Forest, not far from here, are similar structures. These are Iron Age camps which were made by digging a deep ditch and then piling the earth up to make a crude barrier. Offa's Dyke on the border with Wales is the same kind of thing. It runs for 80 miles or so, and it's precisely the same. It's a ditch and bank. It's made of earth. It's an earthwork. To pretend that these ditches and banks of earth were city walls is quite mad. I give a link to an article about the walls of Benin in the description to this video, and you will see the same claims repeated all over the internet whenever you Google the subject. It is alleged that the 1974 edition of the Guinness Book of Records mentions these walls, and a science writer called Fred Pearce has made some dramatic claims about them. For example, they stretch for over 10,000 miles. I'm always suspicious when the same few people or sources are quoted all the time about this or that subject, and whenever you read about Benin, you will read exactly the same sources. Fred Pearce, who wrote an article in the New Scientist, and also the 1974 edition of the Guinness Book of Records crops up time and again. I give a link to an article on the subject from the Guardian newspaper, which claims that the Africans had mastered fractals and used complicated mathematics to arrange their mud buildings. This is nonsense too. There are scarcely any traces left of those piles of mud which are said to be the walls of Benin, and those traces that can be seen look exactly like Amesbury Banks in Epping Forest, the Iron Age camp I mentioned earlier. Calling them walls is absurd. And yet, the internet has masses of reconstructions of the walls of Benin on it. Look at the thumbnail to this video and then skim around a bit through the internet and see how many other images you can find of city walls of Benin. It's fascinating that something which is completely non-existent and never existed could have become so well known.
God damn it. Oh, God help me. Wow. Fuck, dude. Okay. We're going to go back to this Benin thread and we're going to see what Perplexity says of this. Okay. Were the walls of Benin actually walls? Or just mud ditches with the dirt piled up? The internet depicts them as a legit wall like the Great Wall of China, but apparently they are just mounds of dirt and not that advanced or impressive. Fuck. Benin Moat. Okay. The walls are essentially a series of deep ditches with the earth dug out from these ditches piled up to form ramparts. These ramparts were often terraced to enhance defensive capabilities and prevent erosion. The system stretched for thousands of kilometers, encircling not just Benin City, but the surrounding villages. The primary purpose was defensive, providing protection against invaders. Well, not the British invaders, apparently. The depiction of the walls of Benin like as solid stone-like structures similar to the Great Wall of China is indeed misleading. While they are an impressive feat of engineering for the time, they were not constructed with stone or brick. The earthworks were effective for defense and served as a testament to the organizational and engineering skills of the Edo people. However, they do not resemble the solid continuous walls often depicted in modern media. Despite the misconception about their construction, the walls of Benin remain one of the most impressive archaeological achievements in Africa. They highlight the advanced civilization and organizational capacities of pre-colonial African societies. The walls were a crucial part of Benin's defense strategy and played a significant role in maintaining the kingdom's power and influence during its imperial era. In summary, the walls of Benin were not solid wall like the Great Wall of China. They were an impressive and effective defense system that showcased the engineering prowess of the Edo people. Okay, so my bubble is bursted a little bit, I will say. I guess it's just a lot of dirt piles that were well organized, but I don't know. It's not as cool as I initially thought. But either way, I think what I like is this freaking New Century Global Center, dude. So I want to watch the YouTube video on that. We're switching around because now that that's not that interesting to me, let's go here and let's watch. What's our best one? 5, 3, 1. Inside the world's biggest building. Let's go for this guy. Wow, this is freaking cool. Never heard of it.
This is one of the largest buildings in the world. It's the Global Center in Chengdu, China. It's not just a shopping mall, it's an experience. So we're going to go inside and show you all about it.
Wow.
This place is huge. It covers 1.7 million square meters. And it was designed by the same company Zahi Hadid, who designed the Beijing Daxing International Airport. If you want to see that video, click here and you can watch that one too. So it's a Thursday and it's pretty busy here. Generally the floors with restaurants on will be the busiest in the malls. That's always a thing. They're always really, really busy. The restaurant floors are popular restaurants you will generally have to wait for, like this one here. Look, these are all people here waiting for a table at this place here. So you can see how busy. So you probably have to wait more than an hour, I would imagine, for a table there. But normally it's the third or fourth floors on shopping malls that have the restaurants, and this is no exception. This is on the fourth floor. You can see here a lot of different places to eat. So this is something called a global food feast, and this will have all sorts of foods around. Let's go and have a look and see what there is. Oh, so I think what you can do here, there's lots of small stores, and you can order and you can sit down over here to eat your food. But there's a huge amount of different things you can choose here.
Wow.
Oh,
Dude,
we've
I
got
think I
some
might go to China.
nice looking
looks
desserts
fucking
and
cool.
candies. There's also some shellfish here and stuff. Drinks, different vegetables. There's all sorts of drinks going on here. Yeah, this is where you sit when you've got your food. It looks like you can help yourself to bits of all sorts. Here, you've got some salad
Watermelons in the water. Did you see that?
Nice salad.
Watermelons in a fish tank.
and barbecue stuff here. What do we have here? We've got meats here. Look, different kinds of. It's like some chicken and some beef, sausage, and there's some soups. More meats here. Look. Wow. Yeah, I need to find out how they do it, guys. This is like kind of a buffet, I guess. And then let's carry on around here, see what we can find. These places, they're not just shopping, they're actually entertainment places. So a lot of people will come here to eat. As I said before, all the best restaurants will have people waiting. This is a guy waiting to collect a takeout order. One of the things about China, which is different in the West, is that in China you can afford to eat out much more often than you would be able to in many Western countries. You know, we've had a hot pot in here, and it's less than £30 for 3 people. Hi! A lot of these restaurants are quite busy. Many people still waiting to go into this one. That looks like maybe some sort of hot pot, I'm not sure. Oh, what's this here? Now, this is something I've never seen in a shopping mall before, even in China. This is like a robotic mobile vending machine. And it sells these little toys here, look. I've never seen one of these before until I came here. And I've seen a number of them sort of trundling around the shopping centre, so that's really quite interesting, something new. They have things like this in the hotels to bring the stuff to your room, but I've never seen a robotic mobile vending machine before. An arcade there. There's a cinema here, IMAX cinema. And then we've got a lot of smaller food stores down here. We got ice cream, gelato. I think I'm gonna have to get ice cream a bit later on. But I've seen a nice store downstairs. Gelato there. We got some macaroons and chocolate. It sells all different kinds of popcorn. We got a glass floor bridge going on here. Look, you can see down. It's Cafe Laku coffee.
Dang, so
It's been a brand that's been around actually.
they have a surprising amount of English. I've heard they usually don't have a lot of English. Okay, so we got an ice skating rink here. I'm just gonna skip around a little bit to see what he says here.
Ice skating. You go to the water park. They've got a beach here. They have 2 1,000 bedroom hotels. Check that out. Oh, check this out. This is some sort of VR rival exercise bikes here that people are having a go on. Oh, it's a race, I think. You can race against other people on that big screen. We got some Carrera racing track here. I'll have a go on that later on.
Okay, here we go. Here's the water park.
Yes, it's probably because they're on some sort of commission, but I don't like it. And then there's another thing, not so much in shopping malls, but if you go into high streets, they love to play loud music outside and they think it attracts you in. It actually drives me away. But, you know, that's China. They do things differently to the West, and it's not down to me to try and change it. As well as having 2 1,000 room hotels, one's Intercontinental, I'm not sure the name of the other one. They have a massive water park here, and it is one of the biggest water parks I've seen. However, I went there today and I wasn't over impressed with the experience. I thought there were way too many people in there. You had to wait in line for a long time to get onto anything. Actually, I felt it was just overcrowded, and I actually felt it was a little bit dangerous that there were so many people in there. If ever there was an emergency or something happened, I think it would be too much. So I can't give a thumbs up to that experience. But it is a great water park. Had there not been so many people in there, I think I would have had a great time. But Sarah enjoyed herself, so that's all that matters. Oh, this is the other side of the amusements. When I was coming in, I saw a nice gelato.
Dang, son, that's fire. I want to go to China now. Chengdu, baby. I think that might be the next spot. That's fire. Dude, it's so funny. I think as an American, it's like I feel like there's just so much propaganda of other countries and like America's the best country and like everything about America's good. And America's sick, but I see shit like that and I go, damn. And I imagine pulling up to China and there being some things that I'm like, oh, this is whack. But also I imagine just being like, this is amazing. And it's like all this American kind of propaganda and way they talk about China. Me being like, no. You know, which is kind of my experience with Thailand. Like, it's so much sicker here than I expected. And, you know, I just think we're conditioned as Americans to like think that America's the best and everything else is shit. And I think America is the best in some ways. Like, I actually do think it is, but I think it's going downhill probably. Chengdu looks fire, dude. Let's go. I wonder where is Chengdu? Let's see. Chengdu, China. Let's see what we're by here. Maps. Move this back down here. 49. Boop, boop. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. Chengdu. Wow. Oh, dead smack in the middle, baby. Wow. What a big world, baby. There's so much to see. There's so much history. There's so much shit. Wow, so interesting. I wonder if I look at... I think I need to get a window for my chat because I can't... If people chat or send stuff, I can't see it. But I'm also just recording this for a YouTube video, so I'm going to cut out all the lulls and then just make it probably into a YouTube video. But, ooh, oh God, YouTube thumbnails I just see thumbnails like, I want to watch that, I want to watch that. But what I've actually been doing is, for my rules, I have a set of rules for myself that I read every day. And I'll probably go through in a subsequent video, but one of them is about content, right? So I'm only allowed to watch things, or like watch content from things that I subscribe to or pay money for, one per day. So I can technically watch one like podcast or movie or video or something today if I pay for it or subscribe to it. And then otherwise I can only watch one a week that I don't. So what I do is when I see a thumbnail or I see something that I want to watch, I generally put it in a folder that I have of things I want to consume. And then like on Sundays, usually Sunday or Monday, I'll watch that one thing. Give myself one video, and also I can watch something one per day if I'm reading the book of someone. So if I'm reading a book, like right now I'm reading a book of Seth Godin, so I watch an interview of him sometimes. So that's where I'm at with the content right now. And obviously when I'm making this YouTube video and doing this deep dive, I can watch stuff. Like I sometimes allow myself to watch something if I seek it out, right? Spency baby, what's up, gangster? Love you, buddy. Miss you. But anyways, if I seek something out, so I'm like, I wonder about something or I want to learn something or there's something specific, I can seek it out and watch media about it. But I try to not just like go on YouTube and like watch whatever gets my attention or watch like random shit. So that's what I've been doing recently. But that freaking Walls of Benin thing was kind of a bust because, man, that guy just came in and roasted. Who knows if he's true? Like maybe the Walls of Benin were pretty sick. Damn it, really? Okay, well, maybe my recording's okay. I'm also recording, but... anyways, let me see. Oh, I can't. I thought I listened to it. Here I go. Let me see. Oh, I can't. I thought I listened to it. What's going on? I wonder if it's echo not in my recording. Never ending echo? Yeah. How long have I been live here? Oh yeah, I know, you can never win, dude. I was literally struggling all morning. I was just like, please work, and I keep testing. But OBS is really glitchy, so sometimes the recording would sound good, and then I would record again, and it would sound like shit, but I'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Oh, it's a 50-minute ripper. Okay, peace out. Boop.